Hello, I just need to check that everything's on. Hi there. I'll just transition across. Yeah, hi. So I'm just going to do a little bit more mountaineering news, just a few things that I have found recently. Let me just, I need to bring this up. So the first one is Matilda and I've forgotten who else it was. Yeah, they've just done like a new variation in Madagascar, which is amazing. Like these, as you can see, look, check out these big walls. They are like something else. I know Jack Geldard and maybe even Kath went there a good few years ago. It seems like an absolutely amazing um, place, really. Yeah, you never know. So that's just like a minor piece of news. I think one of the things that I'm gonna kind of go on about a little bit is there's currently a BMC strategy consultation. I've done there's like a survey online, and it's all well and good, but there's just a few things with the BMC that just they try and cloud things. They're not very open, and for an organisation that's meant to be um, member led. Yeah, so basically the way it's set up and the constitution meant to be members led, but they do seem to focus a lot of time and money in the elite part of sport because they can get more money for it. So a few years ago, the BMC coffers were virtually emptied. And for me, one of the main reasons for that was they could take a lot of money off Sport England for performance sport, but they had to match fund it. So they took on like about the equivalent of like 1 million, but they had to match that with 200,000. Now, £200,000 is about what the BMC gets off the Sports Council, I think, to um, run itself as a national governing body, and then it has to obviously raise money for itself. But there is, yeah. So this is, kind of um, highlights this. This is really good news. Erin and Toby both got podiums in the recent lead climbing cup. Uh, but the thing is it's great. We had Shauna Coxey win the Olympics, but essentially we spent a lot of money getting one person on a podium. And having chatted, not chatted, but having read between the lines of a few of the youths I know. So I know a couple of youths that I used to coach that are now on the GB youth team, and they have to travel around the world at their own expense. So it really is only the top people that are getting, a free ride. There is a actual video. Let's start playing it. For me,
Hello, everybody. My name's Paul Ratcliffe. I'm the CEO of the BMC and joined today with Dominic Orton.
yeah, and they go on about this strategy. The thing is I don't know whether the strategy, it's just more of a goal thing. So for me, a strategy that they have all these things they want to achieve, but they haven't really gone into much detail of how that's likely to be achieved. So some of these are kind of quite pie in the sky. And for me, when I read through it all, the one thing I did put in this was, I think it's a member-led organisation, and I'd like to see more of the money going to grassroots and less being spent on elite performance. Yeah, there is a few things going through where things like the grassroots, like I'm an instructor. There's loads of bits of implementation that they could get instructors on board because we basically deal with novices. the majority of the time. Most novices don't just, they need some form of uh, instruction to get the skills to kind of survive in the mountains. And I wonder whether the BMC will start to resist funding that. So, I've put in that, I think that they should fund their partner organisations. And then the BMC's woes don't get, Catherine Hawkins was the BMC chair. She was meant to start her position in June, and she'd already announced that she was going to step down in July, so almost before she's stepped up, which to me just highlights, certainly there was some weird stuff that went on in the board and nobody would talk about it, and it just seems very sad that the BMC is now being run not for its members but for medals. But there we go. So yeah, that you could do that. The other one is if you've got, I think it's about 4.5 million, you can buy the clack egg in. Historical. If you've not drunk in the clack egg, then I mean, who exactly are you? If you've not woke up with a hangover having been in the clack egg and then tried to walk up a mountain in Glencoe, then who are you? And then this one was, some people have put a new route up in Norway. It looks pretty outrageous. Just like, look at all these like hanging grooves up here and here and here. Yeah, just looks, it's a place I'd like to go actually. This was one. Sounds horrible. Like 3 people died. One managed to drive out and call a rescue on a payphone. You don't really know what happens. The fact that a lot of people fell, I kind of read between the lines. It was either a belay failure as they were abseiling down a gully, which is really tragic. The lessons I would suggest to people to learn is a lesson that I learned off Fred Hall, who is the one of the gear designers and engineers at DMM, and they sponsored a couple of my trips in the early noughties. And one of the reasons they said they like sponsoring the down and outs from Clanberis is that they know how tight we are when it comes to getting off mountains, and that they prefer to give, people like me, who wasn't an amazing climber, the equipment so we could put it all, we wouldn't like just abseil off one wire. And Fred gives this example of, he was out trying to do the Black Cleft on Cloggy in winter, and the guy he was climbing with, they backed off, so they put in like 3 or 4 small wires and abbed off, and the second guy came down, his climbing partner, and handed him 3 wires back, and Fred was like, why did you take those out? I've got like an entire factory full of them. And for me, this is like the false economy of retreat, in that if you don't, put in a good belay as you're retreating, like if it needs a cam and you're like, oh, I don't want to leave a cam, you're equating your life to being less than the price of a cam. So always, if possible, 2 or more pieces that, be safe. The other thing that can happen, and this is true in a lot of American, if there's a book actually from the American Alpine Clubs called Accidents in North American Mountains or something like that, and they have an acronym because it happens so much. The other alternative was they were going down a steep snow slope and one slipped and they were roped together, and they were roped up, no pro, so rump. And it is a very popular way to go in alpine regions, because often we rope together because of crevasses, but then if we're on a steep slope, we will be walking down and we just want to trust that nobody slips. But if one person slips and it's the wrong person and the rest can't hold, then it's just like, and what, another and another and another. There was a very classic incident on a big mountain, I can't remember what, and basically it ended up like two people at the top of a snow slope, and the top person went and he took out his second couldn't stop him. And then they basically came down the mountain with a rope between them and cheese wired off another 5 people, and like 7 people were found in a crevasse at the bottom of that slope, all because one person slipped. And yeah, so roped up no pro, or just back up your belays. You know, I don't know what happened, but those are just 2 little bits of advice I can give, just reading that and just thinking what can happen. This is another one. Ed Marin has just done a new route in Spain. Sounds epic. Edu's does a lot of really good things. And then this one is about a woman dressed like history's female adventurers. And what's really interesting is if you go back into sort of like the Victorian textbooks, I think it might be in the Badminton Library book of mountaineering from like the 1870s, 1890s. There's actually pages in there about suitable attire for a woman, for a female mountaineer, and they had to wear long dresses, and it just sounds like yeah, they had to dress appropriately. But there were a lot more women involved in early mountaineering than people probably realise. And so, yeah, there was advice. Yeah, this is just a little story about them following in the footsteps of the pioneers. The next one is, I saw this. It's called Ian, Age is Just a Number. It's only 7 minutes, so let's have a little watch if I can. It's quite funny because, you know, from a perspective in terms of like my local climbing wall, we have a lot of climbers who are, you know, of this age, you know, sort of retiring, getting to the 70s, that are still out there. You know, Colin Goody was out there doing new routes way past this. Good little film by me. The cliff reminds me of sort of red wally, kind of convoluted, folded craziness. It looks awesome. Let's see what goes on.
My name's Ian Elliott. I'm 72 years old. I was born in 1952, raised on the Sunshine Coast in what was the country in those days. Oh, it was a great place to grow up. We had plenty of room, had lots of freedom. Mates and I used to ride our bikes all over the place. It was amazing in those days. I didn't start climbing seriously until I was in the mid-50s. I'd get 6 or 8 metres off the ground and think, what the hell am I doing here? Let me back down onto solid ground. It wasn't an obsession so much, just a desire to get out there. The fact that a lot of the places you're climbing are beautiful places to be in. And then you've got the added challenge of climbing rock. Age isn't really a barrier to climbing. It's really a matter of doing what you want to do.
Jesus.
So true. You know, everybody should just get out there and, you know, have a go.
Someone who loves doing adventurous things and doesn't see that being over 70 is any reason to stop taking on new adventures.
I met Jeanette in the Sunshine Coast Bushwalking Club in 1993. We've been to some absolutely amazing places and had a lot of good adventures together. From that, we got into canyoning and mountain rescue training. The rock climbing just sort of evolved from that. And Jeanette developed knee problems, so I got more into the climbing then because we weren't able to walk together.
That's beautiful. Couldn't go out walk with his missus, so he walks her to a crag so she could belay him.
Sometimes you wake up and you do start thinking about climbing, you start going through the moves and trying to work out the tricky bits.
Rock climbing inspires him to keep his body as fit as possible. To me, that's a good incentive to keep doing it. And he just loves it, so why not?
Anyway, I want you, you know, I'll leave that for you. It's Ian. It's by Matt Raimondo. It's sort of, might even be on Mammoot's thing because it's a Mammoot video. And then the final one is The Future of Climbing is Female. It kind of looks at...
The idea of this trip was to come together and share this space. We all love rock climbing, and we came into the sport through very different ways, and it does give us each something completely different.
So years ago, back when I used to go to Yosemite, I'd met Steph in the UK at like a big war symposium at Placid Brennan, and then I sort of hung out with her and quite a few of the other kind of valley rats back in like 98, 99, 2000. That, you know, absolutely inspiring climb. I remember we took Steph to go, Garth. I think she might have done T-Rex or something like that. Yeah, yeah, very talented climber.
We can come together to share what we've learned.
Yeah, it's been a fun journey.
Climb with other women and to experience this special place.
Climbing is so individual and unique to every person, but it's also deeply rooted in teaching, mentorship, pushing yourself, and just having fun.
It gets hard. It gets hard. So we skip that part. You skip it, and then you do the fun stuff.
On this trip, we get to experience that with women who've shaped this industry and women who are shaping the future of climbing.
No, coming down.
Eject, eject, eject. Yeah, so this looks like another great little climb. Again, I don't really want to watch it all the way through with you because I think it's going to be worth the watch for you. Don't want to ruin it too much. And then, yeah, other than that, I did actually get a question. Fortunately, you can't see this. It was like, have advice reference pain in both ring fingers when climbing and after. So I've got a feeling it's very hard, but based on that, to give any advice. It's like, you know, where does it hurt? Is it going to hurt on this bit, which is the pulley, or is it hurting down here, which is a ligament? It only hurts when climbing afterwards. It sounds to me like you just, you know, you've either tweaked it or you could have early onset arthritis. You know, you probably need better advice than I'm going to give you. There are two things. One is to do some like really like exercises, literally, you know, squeezing a tennis ball. And the idea of that is it will hopefully promote blood flow in that area. And again, you're doing light exercises. There is a great video. I'll try and find it, I've got it a link somewhere. I'll bring it up on this other thing. So yeah, that's what, give it a good week. If it's an ongoing persistent thing, you might need to rest for a little while. Ibuprofen. There's this concept, and I know it's Eric Horst, very good coach. He sells collagen and vitamin C. There's some theory behind it. I don't know whether it's good enough that I would go out and start, buying his supplement, because if you just buy chewy sweets, they have collagen is basically jelly, so they have some form of collagen in, unless they're vegan ones. But the vitamin C is important because the vitamin C has been shown to help the uptake of collagen into tendons ex vivo. So basically, when they have a dissected tendon and they see how well it absorbs collagen. They also kind of show you that it works better after exercise. But yeah, basically it just sounds like you might need to go and see somebody. Let's rehabbing finger injury. Yeah, this one here, by Maddie Cope.
Imagine being able to build anything just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44.
My injured hand.
The fully electric, all-new Hyundai Insta. Are you in?
So you're telling me if I drink this instead of coffee, that it's going to wake me up all the same, it's going to kick me into focus mode, make me feel like $1,000,000?
Hi, and welcome.
Sorry about that. You got to see the adverts. Apparently I'm into Base 44 programming and something else. So Maddie's a very good rock climber. She's obviously now working for Lattice, so she's got an amazing amount of knowledge. And she talks about how she's rehabbing her finger injury, where she's doing some conditioning again. Really good video. There's another thing. I couldn't find the video, but I remember, I don't know whether Dave's taken it down because it's just gone, but Dave did this thing of just putting his fingers into cold water, not ice cold water, just cold water. And you hold it there, I think it was like 5 or 10 minutes. And then you take them out, and holding it in, it tricks your body into thinking it's cold, and therefore it pumps pumps more blood to the extremities and helps you, helps promote blood flow, and then helps with the recovery. So yeah. And I think that will be all for today. If you do want to know if you want any advice for climbing, mountaineering, hill walking, or if you're like a trainee mountaineering instructor or any mountain leader and you want some advice, then feel free to go into the comments. I got a Discord page which I'll put in the comments. But yeah, thank you. Just thought that would be interesting. Remember to do your BMC surveys and tell them not to spend all their money on elite performance, unless of course you're elite performance and you want a free ride. Yeah, thanks very much.